For joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be going over the Illinois Career Information Systems, CIS 360. We are very excited to have and provide this new tool to you all as a form of support for what it is that you need to do in order to implement and track and just support your students as you are moving forward with PACE. Before we begin, some housekeeping items. The session is being recorded, as you might have heard as the webinar started. If you are having trouble connecting audio through your computer, use the call me option for audio. And I do realize if you are having trouble hearing me, you wouldn't know what I'm saying. So if any of your colleagues are joining you today and they're messaging you, as often our team does as well, like, hey, I can't hear anything. Is it me or is it them? Let them know to use the call me option for audio. We are going to be using the Q&A feature to ask questions. The Q&A feature is going to be located at the bottom right corner of your screen. So if you are on your desktop and you select the three dots, you would be able to pull up the Q&A feature. So any questions you might have about the tool, just feel free to let us know. If you are joining this session to request continuing education and professional development hours, please stick around to the end of the webinar. We are going to be providing the link to the evaluation for you to be able to obtain the continuing education and professional development hours. And just so you all know, I'll mention this at the end of the webinar as well, but we do have a ton of offerings as far as professional development trainings go that we're offering this fall alone. We are, as one of our old colleagues used to say, we're going on tour. We've been on tour for this fall, so bringing a lot of our offerings in person to you all. Which you are able to find that on our isaac.org/PD link. So it is up on our website, our entire fall schedule. So I invite you all to register for some of those so that you are able to join us. As always with our webinars, a little bit about ISAC if this is the first time you've ever joined any of our webinars. We are the financial aid agency that administers financial aid programs for students. Our mission is providing Illinois students with information and assistance to help make education beyond high school accessible and affordable. Again, we administer those financial aid programs. What we specifically do here with training and development, we provide professional development offerings for professionals on navigating the financial aid process or how to help their students navigate the financial aid process. We have resources and support for underrepresented students. And then also one of our big focuses is also understanding student loans repayment forgiveness programs as well. For the agenda for today, I am going to briefly go over Illinois Career Information Systems. Moving forward, I will be referring to it as CIS 360. It's a little bit easier just to stick to CIS 360. I'll go into PACE specifically as to how it relates to CIS 360, and then we'll see a little bit of a walkthrough of the PACE career plan that's built into CIS 360. This is the big feature that is helping communities and districts with tracking their students' progress with PACE. And then lastly, some resources from ISAC, and again, the CE and PD information. With Illinois Career Information Systems, A little bit of a background, what it is, it's this comprehensive online system. It is the tools that is available to students in the state of Illinois that offer career education and current labor market information. And it is in one easy to use tool. You might have heard of CIS or Illinois CIS before, and that is because this is a tool that has been offered to Illinoisans since 1977 through the Illinois Department of Employment Security. So they've been offering it. It's been around. This is at no cost to your students. Um, it's an awesome tool just because it does have and provide a lot of career exploration opportunities, but also when they're going through the tool and utilizing this tool, they are also seeing Illinois specific employment data and Illinois specific career data. So on the background of things, everything is going to be just Illinois specific data. We are seeing, if we are looking to explore a career and the employment outcomes with that specific career, we are looking into data that is specifically for Illinois students and Illinois employees. Getting into Illinois CIS 360, the one thing that is really important to know is that you want to make sure that you are in the Illinois CIS 360 portal. You'll see that there are a ton of tools even within this portal, but it is something that is available for students to be able to utilize at the school level. If you are a counselor or a professional who works with students, there is an admin login portion into the login of the CIS 360 portal. And then we have, and I say we because I have been working a ton with Troy from IDES, but I don't mean we. This is something that was already created and established way before I started working with Troy. So they also offer the feature of Illinois residents. So this isn't just something that is available for those who are working. This doesn't mean that if you are no longer a student that you don't have access to this. Like literally, this is a tool that is available to anyone, any of the Illinois residents at no cost. The features or the way that the tools are worded, it is a little bit different between Illinois residents and the student feature of this. So if you are someone or an organization that in addition to working with students, you might be working with adult learners or anyone who is just overall looking to have more information on careers and they are no longer in a high school, they are still able to have access to this, which is awesome. So a couple of other things or features with Illinois CIS 360 is going to be that if you do have a Clever account, if your school uses Clever for anything other at your school, the students are able to have that as their login. So already this is something where if they have a Clever account, if your school has a Clever account, that they'd be able to just have a very simple process to logging in. Which again, this is going to save a lot of time for students when they are going through this tool. In addition to even getting into what it does for students in regards to PACE, there are 4 career development tools that I do want to highlight. It has some career tools that are meant to be to help at every level. So as you can see here, we have Illinois CIS 360 Junior. This covers middle school career exploration. It helps with having assessments around interest, having assessments on careers, So at the junior level, it is a tool that's already been in there. I know that there are a ton of platforms that schools are probably choosing from in order for them to support the work that they do. More recently, we have started talking a lot more with middle schools as to how it is that they are supporting their Illinois PACE framework. And I am happy to share that CIS 360 Junior is something that, again, already exists and it's at no cost to your students. We also see on the screen that we have Illinois CIS 360 High School. This is something that we're going to be exploring a lot more during this presentation. But it doesn't just stop at the high school. There is a tool within here that is Illinois CIS 360 for college. This is more focused. They're already in their post-secondary institution maybe, so this is more career exploration. And then we have CIS 360 Job Seeker, which is something that is kind of sparkled into the high school and colleges as well. But specifically, if you are an Illinois resident that's not directly connected to a school, and if you're visiting the website to see what are some of your options, the CIS 360 Job Seeker tool is going to be one that's going to be helpful for you or for anyone you work with. All right. So it's not the end of CIS 360. We are going to see a lot more on it, but I do want to touch on PACE and how it relates to CIS 360 or how they complement each other, right? So if you are joining us from a school, you might be aware of Public Act 102-0917. You might have joined any of our webinars in the past. We have done a ton of webinars on PACE alone. But if you are new, here is some information on PACE. So PACE is the Postsecondary and Career Expectation Framework. This is something that schools, as of recently, they do have the requirement of having to adopt a framework. What the framework essentially does is that it serves as a roadmap for the students to know and what are some of the items that they have to do in order for them to make the most informed decision for life after high school. Specifically for the last couple of years, since 2017, the state agencies adopted the Illinois PACE framework in order for them to support schools with that work. With the Public Act 102-0917, it made it so that any schools that were serving grades 6 through 12, that they had to adopt a framework and begin with implementation on that. It was no later than July 1st, 2025, so we have had a lot more contact with schools as of lately because that recently passed about 3 months ago. So it is something that it is not new, but it is a topic that is more talked about now as a result of this Public Act. And I mentioned this because the conversations have been when we were meeting with schools about, what information do I have to report? How do I keep track of it? So this is where CIS 360 really steps in to help with all of those questions and overall implementation. So I've included information on the Illinois PACE framework, the middle school. So we have the framework that the state agencies adopted as a whole. So that's going to be 6 through 12. Part of it is going to be the middle school section, and the other part is going to be the high school section. So for the middle school section, the Illinois PACE framework has already been expanded to the lower grade levels, and it's a little bit hard to see, so I'm going to move on to the next screen because it zooms in on all of the elements within that framework. The middle school framework, the components of it, you'll see that it'll be by the end of 6th grade through the end of 8th grade. So that is the middle school portion of it. It has what we call domains. So that'll be the Venn diagram at the bottom right side of your screen. We have aspiration, self-advocacy, and planning. These are the categories that we want the students to be able to support, to explore, so that they are able to better connect with the concepts at the high school level. We have under every grade level 2 categories. We have a student should be exposed to. This is that concepts that they should be understanding. And then we have a student should be supported to. These are action items that the school should be providing opportunities for the students to even experience. Like I mentioned, we do have Illinois CIS 360 Junior as part of CIS 360. But we have found that, this is already work that you all are doing if you are here joining us from the middle school side. Now, the one area I do want to touch on, it's going to be the Illinois PACE framework at the high school level. So we have it from 9th grade all the way to 12th grade. This is the framework that, as of right now, CIS 360, if you go on the website, if you create an account, that you'll see that everything within CIS 360 is directly supporting this framework as it is. So we have, just like we do for the middle school, we have the grade level. So this one is just by the end of 9th grade all the way to by the end of the 12th grade. It is broken up into the following categories or domains, as I'll refer to them: career exploration and development, post-secondary education, exploration, preparation, and selection. And then we also have financial aid and literacy. Prior to making sort of the jump into it aligning with CIS aligning with PACE, I think when people thought about CIS 360, they thought about more of that career, a tool for career exploration. And as you'll see, it is something that has options for a student to explore all areas and really have like a complete tool to be able to explore financial aid and literacy, post-secondary education exploration, and career exploration as well. Every grade level is broken up by a student should be supported to. These are going to be action items or experiences. And then a student should know. These are going to be for them to understand key concepts. The nice thing about the framework, it does look like there are a lot of elements within the framework, but anything within a student should be supported to. They should, if a student should know, it really complements that a student should be supported to. So if you're already providing an activity for the student to complete and be supported to experience that activity, then that means that as an outcome of that activity, the student should know. So even though it looks like you need to complete, let's say, 10 items within a grade level, really, if you are providing 5 opportunities, the outcome should be 5 outcomes of a student should know. So really, the work really happens within those 5 benchmarks. At the 12th grade level, we do have a student should have. These are going to be the completion of time-sensitive tests. This is just really at the end of 12th grade. This is where we are adding to complete a financial aid application, to complete a college application. So those are time-sensitive tests that they need to complete because there are deadlines associated with those. Versus, I would say, within everything else, 9th through 11th grade, there is a lot of flexibility as to when they should be completing some of the items. But by the end of 12th grade, they do have those time-sensitive tests. A couple of things to know with the Illinois PACE framework and feedback as to how to implement it or even how to track it. We understand that a student should know it's a little bit it's a little bit hard to track. So I am super excited to show how it is trackable within CIS 360, because it is not something that you can, if you're a counselor, that you can easily keep track of, or have, if you have a large workload, to ensure that the students are um, learning this information or making the connection within the activities. Within CIS 360, we made it so that we made sure that it is something that is part of the overall experience, so that at the end of it, they are able to track what it is that they do know. All right, and then just a reminder, if you all have any questions so far, please, the bottom right corner of the screen is where we'll have the Q&A. All right. I'm sorry, my screen is loading. All right, so within CIS 360, we now have PACE career plan. It is broken up by 9th grade to 12th grade, so it has a whole list of activities to help with every benchmark within the PACE framework. And then that is what I'll be doing the walkthrough of, just so you all get to see a more holistic look as to like what the activities look like. We also, depending on the grade level, as you might have seen within the framework, you can see that, 9th grade, the list is a little bit shorter versus 10th grade, it increases. 11th grade, it does get a little bit heavier with like the post-secondary items that need to take place, versus 12th grade, where it's a little bit more financial aid heavy. So that is also reflected throughout the PACE career plan. All right. It is the same thing again within 10th grade. Um, and the awesome thing about the tool is that if they complete certain surveys, or if they complete certain activities at the 9th grade level, that carries over into the 10th grade level, the students will have access to those activities as well. So as they are completing activities in 9th grade, they're able to compare sort of like their progress, their interest when it gets to the 10th grade, the 11th grade, the 12th grade, so that they can see how they themselves have changed, or if they can see also, how true it is, or how true they have stayed to those interests that they've had, career choices that they've had. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and do a small walkthrough of what that experience is going to be like for the students specifically. All right, so as I shared, you have the Illinois residents, admin login, you have the sign in with Clever, and I didn't mention them, but you also, if you are using, ClassLink with your schools or in your organization, you are able to go through ClassLink as well. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and sign in as a student. When you sign in, anything that you complete on under PACE career plans will show up on the student dashboard. So within the student dashboard, if I select any careers or the student selects any careers, they'll have access to this as soon as they log on to Illinois CIS 360. Any of the self-survey results will also show up on here. So in addition to having access to the um, any of the activities they have created or gone through in the past, they'll also have access to it on an easy place for them to be able to find them. And then they also have the opportunity to pull any reports they might need as far as how much of the career plan they have completed for a specific grade level. When they select PACE career plan, this is specifically where they'll be able to connect directly into the Illinois PACE framework as is. Again, if you are in charge of being the one implementing PACE, this is going to be a lifesaver just because if you are able to connect the student into Illinois CIS 360, then that means that it'll track the progress on its own. It'll be a place where they'll have access to all of the activities that they will need for them to be able to explore and for them to be exposed to um, different career elements, different financial aid concepts, and post-secondary options as well. So it'll all be in a place. It'll also have, it'll keep track of like how many activities they have created. It'll keep track whether they started an activity or they completed an activity, and they also have the option to continue. There are as I mentioned, one of the hardest parts to be able to track is what a student should know. That'll be the other half of the framework itself. Every grade level, in order to assist with tracking this, does have what we call the knowledge checklist. So if they should have anything within the career exploration part, any outcomes that they should know, if they should know two careers to further explore, they'll be asked to list them and identify them on here so that you're able to track that. It's a little bit hard to know, like they understand the complete concept, but at least you're able to see, okay, they understand that there are two careers that they'll be able to further explore. And then when they get to the 10th grade, they're able to further explore that as well. For the 10th grade, there are 14 total activities to complete. This is specifically all connected to the Illinois PACE framework, and even the resources are specific to Illinois as well. So if there are any activities that are asking, let's say, on work-based learning opportunities, that is something that schools do have to track in order for them to award their college and career pathway endorsements. There is specific resources, Illinois resources, that they're able to connect so that they're able to learn more about it. It has information, it has definition as to like what it is that we mean by work-based learning, what it is that we mean by um, if we have a certain term, it has the definition of that specific term so that they know what it is that we're talking about. It also, oh, sorry. It also has that 10th grade knowledge checklist. So if you see, select one of the careers from your favorites and list the following information: the educational requirements for that career, educational cost, education application deadline date, entry salary, median salary, 3 skills required for that career specific. So this is where you really break down the process and help them identify each of the elements that they might want to explore, so that they're not just doing it for one career, but this is something that can be replicated. And it is something that is simple for them to do, where it's not going to cause them to be burnt out or fatigued out. It is something that they'd be able to, if they are able to easily identify the educational requirements, that they'd be able to report it here. And then anything that is being asked of them to do on the 10th grade knowledge checklist, they would have had an activity that caused them to answer that question. So when we're looking into educational requirements, they would be able to go into educational plans coursework, and then also education research, and be able to further explore that career, that and what it is that they need. For 11th grade, bear with me, it is a lot longer. It is 21 activities that they need to complete total, but a couple of these activities are just purely informational. My favorite thing about the 11th grade is going to be the resume builder. So it has information that directly connects into their resume, and the outcome of it will be for them to have their completed resume. It'll ask them things that they need to have already, before they start building their resume, some of the things that you'll want to have ready for it. Another item that I really like is also tracking their work-based learning experiences. This is something that, again, if a school is offering college and career pathway endorsements, that they definitely want to make sure that they are tracking their progress. And if you are the administrator on the other end of that, that you need to know that your students are completing this work-based learning activities, in order for you to know that they are on track to do, so that they are able to do anything that to be able to earn that endorsement. This is going to be a report that you can have access to and be able to easily track that. And again, that is at no cost to you all or to the students. It does include also the school visit section. This is something that if they need to visit, if they don't have access to transportation and they need to visit schools, and it needs to be in a virtual setting, they'll be able to do it directly from this platform. They'll be able to easily just visit the schools profile within CIS 360, and whatever schools, or whichever many schools do have a virtual visit or tour, that they'll be able to have access to that, and that they'll be able to have some thoughts and reflections on that activity. It has a space for them to track the schools that they're interested in, to track certain information of like when they applied, if they were accepted, their application status for that schools. They're able to add multiple schools, tracking test scores, financial aid information. Financial aid information, it does have information specifically to the FAFSA. And then the 11th grade checklist, it does ask them to identify and report and explore their safety, match, and breach schools as well. It does ask them to save at least one for each one. And the awesome thing with this is that when it gets to the 12th grade, it asks them to further explore these three schools that they have selected in 11th grade. So again, we're not starting from scratch. We're not starting at a place where we don't know what it is that we might be interested in. We are picking up right where we left off in 11th grade. And then for 12th grade, it might seem like there are less activities. They're just a little bit more intricate. So it may seem like there's less, but also when we get into that 12th grade knowledge checklist, we are really asking them to identify and almost in a way reflect on some of the exploration that they already did. So this is wrapping up and having them almost summarize the information that they needed to make that decision for life after high school. Including, if they completed a financial aid application, if they attended a workshop, if for the schools, it'll ask them to compare the financial aid that they are or were offered for those three schools. So really in one place, they'll have the ability to see that information and be able to identify that information as well. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. See on WebEx if there are any questions so far. All right. Just like we saw, we have PACE career plan for 11th grade and 12th grade. So this is something that if depending on how you are broken up into your school, if you are a a school counselor who is just managing, let's say 11th grade workload, that you'd still be able to go back and see the progress that they had at the 10th grade and build off of that. If you are just broken up into like alphabetical order or grade levels, whatever it may be, you will still have access to that information on the student's end. So with that, this is again available at no cost to you all. You'd be able to access it as an administrator. I do have, or she has joined us here today, Troy from IDES, but she would be the one helping us with setting up your school and your school's profile in order for you to just completely have access to all of your students. So with that, let me get into some of the resources. Oh, I do see there might have been some questions.
There are two. You kind of answered one. That was in regards to the admin piece. If they could set it up as an admin. And the other question is, how can a community organization set up a 360 site for its students and community members?
Perfect. So I would be connecting you with, you reach out to us. I don't think I included her email as part of this presentation, but we would be setting you up with Troy so that she is able to help setting up those accounts. So coming to the end of this webinar, we do have a couple of resources for you all. We have the Illinois College Access Network. This is a network for college access practitioners. It is at no cost to you all. And you're going to get tired of me saying no cost to you all because I've said it like 20 times on this webinar, but it really is at no cost to you all. This is a network of college access practitioners to help with post-secondary access for your students, to help with resources for low-income students, first-generation students. Also, this is something that it doesn't require a ton of work on your end. We do have quarterly membership meetings where we provide resources, and it is in a friendly space where we really are trying to build that community, a learning community for you all to be able to learn from each other. So you are able to join this at no cost. If you want to join us, please visit the illinoiscan.org website so that you are able to become a member of Illinois Can. And I don't have it on here. It's also an awesome opportunity for you to be able to advocate and also share your own resources. If you are having a career fair or any events open to the public, a scholarship fair, anything like that, this is going to be a community where you would be able to share that. As you all might have heard, with the FAFSA becoming available, this is going to be an awesome tool for you all to have for your students. This is at no cost to you all. It's a resource to assist with the communication in regards to any offerings you may be having for your students. So it does include templates for you all to know, or for you all to send out to your students and families in English and Spanish. Templates of emails that you can send out to volunteers. So if you're having a financial aid workshop and you're having volunteers join you, templates of information, of emails that includes all of the information that's going to be the most helpful for you to share. Robocall scripts in English and Spanish as well. Templates of flyers where you would be able to just insert the information of your workshop on those flyers, and also templates of social media posts in English and Spanish that you'd be able to just insert your information on there as well. We also have the First Generation Scholars Network. This is something that is found on our student portal, .isec.org. This is a resource for first generation scholars. So it is free for the students at no cost to them. And this is going to be for anyone who is the first in their family to earn a college degree. The network offers a variety of opportunities. It offers support and resources from ISEC. Specifically, they can get connected with a first generation scholar network mentor. They can get assistance with finding any first generation scholar network program that's on campus. And then they can also join any of the check-in events with other first generation students. I was a first generation student myself, so this is I find this to be an amazing opportunity for students to continue to have support. You all have a ton of work or a large number of students you work with, so this can also give you some reassurance that your students will have that additional support beyond you once they leave the high schools or the organization or the communities to go into college. We also, this is one of our newer tools, but it's going to be the ISI Connection texting service. So this is directly or specifically for professionals. If you are working with students and you have a question, an immediate question that you want assistance with, please reach out to us by texting your name to 847-250-2384. You can sign up, save this number on your phone as ISEC Connection, and literally anything that has to do with financial aid, career exploration, or anything you might be helping your students with making that decision for life after high school, you're able to text your question on here, and it's a real life person. It's one of our training team members who will respond to you. And now I should mention it too. If you have any questions about CIS 360, feel free to send them in there, and then we'll be able to assist with that. lastly, if you need CE and PD hours, please make sure that you scan the QR code on the screen. I really apologize because I forgot to update the date on here. But we would love your feedback on today's session. So if you complete the evaluation, please complete the evaluation by October 2nd. If you are going to specifically be needing PD hours, we will need your Illinois Educator Identification Number at the time that you are completing that evaluation. It's a quick evaluation that takes should take about 2 to 5 minutes to complete. So I also had my colleague post the link. I'll have my colleague post the link on the chat as well. But if you scan the QR code, that should also be something that you do have access to. All right. And lastly, I just really want to thank you all for joining us today. If you do have any questions, I'll leave the webinar open, but you can reach out to us at isec.outreachtraining@illinois.gov. And if you are interested in learning more about those professional development opportunities that I mentioned at the beginning, please reach out to us at isec. Not reach out to us, please sign up to our e-messaging services, as that is going to be the fastest way for you to know when we are providing any professional development opportunities. That is the fastest way that we put anything out. Again, thank you all. Let me go ahead and stop the recording and have a good rest of your day.